Within the space of 6 weeks, we had 2 children diagnosed with ASD. I think we all know that there was something a little bit different with Kieran. And I suppose it went back to maybe when he was in play school. And the Montessori school teacher did say she felt that he had a problem mixing with the other kids, and then he also would have had a problem moving on from one task to the other, and would insist on continuing to do something and wouldn't be flexible. To be honest, we just thought he was a boy, really. We didn't really think there was anything majorly wrong. When he got into primary school, it became more obvious that there were definitely more issues there. The teacher found that he wouldn't stay in his seat. He started to line up things, all his pencils. He actually then would take his lunch out and take it apart and line up the pieces of bread and then line up the ham, and everything had to be lined up all the time. He wouldn't play with the other kids really, and he used to get quite frustrated. When we got into senior infants, things were getting a bit hectic with him again, and they suggested we get him assessed. They suggested a place over in Dundrum, a private psychologist. We went to her, and she suggested that all that was wrong with Kieran, if you could say wrong, was that he had a language impairment. So moving on into second class, it was actually then when Amy was about, she must have been about nearly 2.5 we started off. She wasn't speaking very well. In fact, we couldn't really understand anything she was saying. She only had about 2 or 3 words. She wasn't toilet trained. She had only started to walk at 19 months, so she was quite slow to walk. And I actually was more concerned about Amy. We were sort of plodding along with Kieran and, living with his little, I suppose, differences and quirkiness without really realising there was anything major there. But it was Amy was our real concern. So it was only actually when we went to see the child psychiatrist, Dr. Louise Gallagher, up in Tala Hospital, that questions started to arise about Kieran. Because Louise actually asked us about, obviously, Amy's siblings. And it became quite apparent that Kieran did actually have major issues. So actually, as Louise was diagnosing Amy, and Amy did end up with a diagnosis of PDD-NOS, which is pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified, which is an autism spectrum disorder. Kieran then was assessed within a few weeks after Amy, and he was actually diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. So there were signs there, but we had no experience of autism at all, so we had no idea. We just thought we were dealing with a slightly quirky little boy, and that was it. And it was only when it was pointed out to us that it actually was brutally honest. It made me feel that I wasn't a bad parent, but there actually was something wrong. Because you used to always question how 2 of them were so quirky, and yet we had Sarah, who was absolutely perfect in every way. And I suppose it was slightly a relief, to be honest, when I think about it. Because you always used to question yourself, like, why are they doing this, or why are they doing that, and why can't they just, God forgive me, say, be normal and just behave like every other kid? But they just couldn't. And it was only as you get to know and read more, and then you realise how difficult things are and how bizarre life can be in their little heads.
Autism doesn't really affect my life all that much. I guess maybe, if I ever ran into someone who pictured autism as the stereotype of like the 40-year-old man living in his mom's basement or something, playing video games and sticking to TVs. No, I'm not all of the autistic stereotypes. I believe a lot of people also think that, autistic people are socially inept, like they aren't able to socialize with anyone, when quite a majority of autistic people actually can socialize with other people. Like, some may not be able to, but others are able to, because like some people like may think that autism is like a mental disorder, but it's really a neurological one. It just means your brain is wired slightly different than most other people. Like, you may not be able to memorize an entire dictionary, but you may be able to be like bigger in some other areas. Like, I may not be able to like memorize an entire like English textbook like word for word, but I can memorize like the entire first Toy Story film line for line, scene by scene, and stuff like that. So some of my main interests, well, for starters, I'm a big Disney fan. Like, I grew up watching a lot of Disney cartoons, Disney films, and it's sort of where I got my American accent from, despite living from Ireland. Like, just watched a lot of cartoons, and I managed to develop an American accent off of that. And, I'm a huge Pixar fan, ever since I watched the first Toy Story. Recently, I took up guitar lessons. I'm not exactly that good, I can't play very fast, but simple stuff like one-string songs are pretty simple for me to get around. So, like, like I'd be learning stuff like the Doctor Who theme, the Mario theme, a few random songs here and there from AC/DC or something of that nature. To be perfectly honest, school is not a major concern for me. Like, I know, like, education is the most important thing for getting through life, but it's something that I both like and dislike at the exact same time. For one, there are certain subjects that I do like maths and art, because I love drawing and I just find maths easy. But some other subjects, like English, can give me a hard time. And also another thing that kind of bothers me about school is like the social aspect. Like, I'm alright making friends, it's just like some people I don't get on with and some people that I tend to bother me very much. But I do like have a handful of friends, and if it wasn't for my friends, I wouldn't be able to like find the similar interests to them. I have considered going to Pulse College, which is a college that specializes in like film, animation, and video game design, because I've always had an interest in like filmmaking. Autism's not something that I always think about, really. Like, it doesn't change my life in any way, it's just something that I'm stuck with, and I just continue with life, I guess.